Okay, today we have a brief history video on the AFL and the Essendon Bombers Football Club. Their early history, very historical club. And if we look from their founding in 1872 and their early success in the VFA and the VFL AFL, they won a lot of premierships. In fact, in the 1890s, they won 5 premierships in 6 years. That's a very successful team. So in the VFA, they won 4 in a row between 1891 and 1894. And in 1897, they win their first VFL title. They win again in 1901. So in a very short space of time, in a decade, they've won 6 times. It's a very successful team. They also win again in 1911 and 1912. So before World War I, they've won 8 titles. Over half their titles that they've ever won were won in a very short space of time. Nearly half. In 1923 and 24, they went back-to-back. It's very hard to do in any sport. They win back-to-back again. World War II comes along in 1942, they win in 1942. Post the war, in 46 and 49 and 50, they win 3 more. So they're very successful in their earlier history. In the modern history, they become less successful. They still win titles in 1962 and 65, a pretty solid team in the 60s. The mid-80s, in 84 and 85, they win back-to-back premierships. In 93 and 2000, which is their last premiership, they win again. Their last win in 2000. However, since 2000, in the last decade, the club unfortunately has been surrounded by the Peptide Scandal. Now, I'm doing a brief overview on this, but actually the Peptide Scandal itself is a really long, drawn-out saga that has damaged the image of Essendon. It's damaged the image of the AFL because other players and other clubs ended up getting drawn into it, and it also involved the NRL. It spread to a different sport because of one guy, Stephen Dank, sports scientist, who has since had his own career destroyed. Rightly so, there's criminality involved, and it highlighted issues with the AFL's doping policy. It highlighted issues with player welfare, and as we will see, it has severely damaged Essendon going forward. So in 2012, they start this sports science program, and they hire a guy called Stephen Dank. Now, James Hird is the coach, and Mark Bomber Thompson is the assistant coach, and these two important figures going forward. By 2013, this also now involves the NRL, because Stephen Dank worked with NRL clubs, including Cronulla. The AFL and ASADA, which is the Anti-Doping Agency of Australia, are investigating the Essendon Bombers over the supplements program, which we now later found out, they were breaching the rules. On August the 27th, the club was found guilty and fined $2 million Australian dollars. The following season, James Hird is suspended as coach by the AFL following the initial investigation, and Mark Thompson, his assistant, now becomes head coach. By June of 2014, 34 players were issued show clauses, which is basically saying that we've investigated, we found you doped, or we believe you have doped, you have to prove your innocence. It's part and parcel of a doping investigation. But it takes until 2015 for the players, all 34 of them, to be found not guilty. However, by 2016, only 12 of those players are still Essendon players, including Dyson Heppell, the current captain, out of the 34. All the players have had their decision overturned. Now, this is where it gets really scandalous, and the scandal, carries on. It's affecting the performances on the pitch. Players are going to get suspended, backdated, mind. So the players are given 2-year bans, backdated. So that covers the 2016 season, which results in just 3 wins and a wooden spoon. Their first wooden spoon since 1933. So this entire scandal affects the team on the field as well as off it. Since the scandal, in 2017, the club pays its final fine financially. They do make the finals in that first year, but they lose in the first round. But they make the final 8. They don't get very far, but they make the final 8. 2018, they don't make the finals. 2019, they make the finals again, don't win a match. No success. So, from 2012 till now, the team has been dogged by scandal and a lack of success on the field. They're not one of the top teams anymore. The Peptide Scandal is bigger than Essendon. Much bigger than Essendon. And for all the success they had, pre-2000, historically and in modern times, in the modern era, they've won a couple of premierships. This period is what Essendon are currently known for. Not their previous success, not their historical nature of the club, and their 20 Premiership titles that they've had in their history. It's what's happened since 2012 is what the club is known for, and even now players are still having to, deal with the controversy and the scandal. There are players still at the club who were involved in the Peptide Scandal. Now, not all the players in the squad were actually actively involved in doping, but it's damaged the reputation of the AFL massively, and the Essendon club hasn't fully recovered until they actually, get to a final, win a game in the finals, and make some progress in finals football, and make progress up the ladder and become a top 8 side consistently. And until they win their next Premiership, I think this scandal will dog the team going forward. But it did spread from Essendon to other AFL clubs and to the NRL. And the Cronulla Sharks, which I have done a history video on. So if you want to look at my NRL history videos, they're in the NRL playlist. Find the Cronulla Sharks, I make reference to this scandal. So there we go, that's the history, all the success they've had. But their recent history is what a lot of people who watch AFL now, younger fans, newer fans to the sport, will remember Essendon for as the last 8 years. And the scandal hasn't gone away. I think there's still more to come out. We know that when it spread to the NRL, that there was a crime commission into it, which looked at a whole range of things. We know that Sandor Earl, an NRL player, had a 5-year suspension from this scandal. He doesn't play AFL. He plays in the NRL. So this scandal is more than just Essendon. It really spread across Australian sport, and this scandal still, I think, has some more to come out about it. And players and ex-players will probably give interviews about that period of time, and more names will be dropped. And Stephen Dank is someone that I honestly believe you guys should check out on the internet. You can look at the Four Corners documentary on it. I mean, that was out at the time. I've watched that, and I've done a lot of research on this time, and I've read a lot, and it's a damaging period. So hopefully, going forward, Essendon can rebuild confidence with the playing group, rebuild their history, and move on from this scandal. Cronulla did. They went on to win an NRL Grand Final in 2016. At the height of this scandal, can Essendon, bounce back and win a Premiership and rebuild the confidence and trust? But there we go. The last 8 years have been really scandal-ridden. They haven't won since 2000. It's a really interesting time for Essendon. But there we go. Thank you very much for watching. If you want me to go into more detail about the Peptide Scandal, I am happy to do so. Please place that in the comment section below. But for now, thank you very much for watching, and I'll have some more videos for you very, very soon.